They got a ton of weapons, Marcus. Who should be the starting quarterback?
It'll be JJ McCarthy. Look, Sam Darnold is there, and you got a veteran presence that can come in and back up and have some success if the young fella struggles.
The Minnesota Vikings have generated a lot of buzz over the past few months after letting go of Kirk Cousins to Atlanta. But things just seem to line up since day one with JJ McCarthy. And with the long-term extension of Justin Jefferson, this team kind of got to skip most of the rebuilding phase because they already have a very solid young core. So now with training camp here and the season right around the corner, there is so much to talk about with this team. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 40k subscribers, and with your support, I believe we can get there super fast. Alright, so starting off, let's dive into what we can expect from the Vikings 2024 draft picks. Starting with their first round selections, at pick number 10, Minnesota landed Michigan quarterback JJ McCarthy. McCarthy's leadership and winning pedigree from his time with the Wolverines have already been on display during camp. His chemistry with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison is developing rapidly, and the coaching staff is very impressed with his ability to grasp the playbook. It seemed ever since day one, JJ was the guy, and the whole team is believing and rallying behind him. The Vikings also snagged Alabama outside linebacker Dallas Turner at pick 17. Turner has also been turning some heads in training camp with his explosive first step and pass rushing abilities. He's expected to make an immediate impact on the defensive side of the ball. He's really been focusing on learning and adapting to the NFL level. He's been described as being a sponge and being open to the knowledge shared by veteran players. In the later rounds, the Vikings took guys like Walter Rouse, a kicker in Will Reichard, and some O-line and D-line depth. Rouse is making a pretty solid impression at the early stages of camp. He's being noted for his dedication, often being the last player off the field, where he stays late to work on his pass sets, even in intense heat. This work ethic definitely reflects his determination to honor his grandfather's legacy, who was a significant figure in the 1963 Loyola men's basketball team. Alright, moving on. Now I want to just talk about what's going on in training camp in general. On the offensive side, we've seen some impressive plays during practice. The receivers are looking sharp, making acrobatic catches, and showing great chemistry with not only JJ, but all of the quarterbacks. Talking about some specific young standouts, we first have Levi Drake Rodriguez. The 7th round pick from Texas A&M Commerce is creating excitement as a potential sleeper. The Vikings believe they've unearthed a gem with this guy, who's shown impressive burst from the defensive tackle position. And next up is Seth Vernon. The rookie punter is among the players reported to camp and will be competing for a special role on the team. And then there's Blackman. While not being a rookie this upcoming season, this second-year corner is definitely worth mentioning. After a solid rookie season, there's interest in seeing if Blackman can make a significant leap, and the Vikings could certainly use it. Anyways, moving on, the Vikings 2024 schedule kicks off on September 8th with an away game against the New York Giants. They face a demanding start, including matchups against 3 teams that made it to the playoffs last season in the first 5 weeks. Notably, the Vikings will host the New York Jets in London during week 5, and the bye week comes in week 6, providing a crucial break after a tough opening stretch. But some people are really not a fan of how early in the season it comes. But one thing that is for sure true is that the Vikings need to get off to a good start. Not only for just the record, which is obviously important, but for the team morale. With young players, if you get off to a bad start, that can spread throughout the locker room super fast, and before you know it, you're looking at a 4 or 5 win season. But if you get a lot of the guys to believe and buy into the system early on, that is how you see those shocking and surprising seasons where a team that was projected to finish last in the division ends up making the playoffs. Alright, so switching gears, I want to go a little more in depth on JJ McCarthy because he is of course the guy that all of Minnesota is counting on to take this franchise to where it wants to go after they made the decision that Kirk Cousins coming off that injury wasn't going to be the guy. Some analysts believe McCarthy may see playing time sooner than expected. There's speculation he could take over as the starter after the Vikings bye week, especially if the team struggles early in the season. Mike Clay definitely has more optimistic projections for McCarthy than many people, expecting him to play the majority of offensive snaps for the Vikes in 2024. He predicts JJ will surpass 3,500 passing yards with around 20 touchdowns, along with 200 rushing yards and 2 rushing TDs. Here's what more of the media has to say.
Going to be their starting quarterback week 1. Kevin O'Connell will have to change as a coach, who's one of the best coaches in football. What I mean by that is, if you look at the teams that we thought were playoff contending football teams that started rookies, there's a common denominator. Look at underneath where it says rookie QBs to make the playoffs. Bottom 5 in pass attempts per game, also a top 5 scoring defense. Now, the reason I mentioned Kevin O'Connell and having to change is in the last 2 seasons, Kirk Cousins was second in the NFL when it comes to attempts per game. He threw the ball almost 38 times a game. Most of those guys threw the ball around 20 times a game. So there'll have to be a contrast or a change with Kevin O'Connell.
The Vikings have fully completed a week's worth of training camp practice, including the first 2 with pads. Looking at where things sit with the Vikings is a very complicated question with varying amount of answers. From a quarterback competition to a turnstile at cornerback, there are still numerous answers the Vikings need to find before they kick off against the Giants. This right here isn't from me, it's from an article written by Tyler Fornes, so credit to him, but he said head coach Kevin O'Connell has spoken to the media multiple times about wanting a competition between both McCarthy and Darnold. Right now, it's not a competition. There is a lot of buzz surrounding McCarthy at the moment, and for good reason. He is making impressive throws throughout practice, giving fans a glimpse into the future. Even with the wow throws from McCarthy that have gotten the fan base excited, he has yet to take a single first team rep, and it can't be a competition without that. Darnold hasn't exactly run away from McCarthy either, but it's also not a big deal. You can tell that Darnold is still getting his bearings with both the offense and his teammates. He was better on Wednesday than Tuesday, but there were still misses. 2 of the misses look to be from lack of chemistry, which is completely fine for a new quarterback. But now skipping forward a few days to the current time, a few of the recent practices did include some reps with the first team offense for McCarthy in the red zone period. His first snap with the group wound up being a reverse run play to Addison. It looked like Pace Jr. had an angle to limit the damage on the play. Earlier in the practice period, and while working with the second grouping, McCarthy extended a pass play and found N'Keal Harry, who is transitioning from receiver to tight end, for a touchdown. The first team offensive line maintained its grouping of left tackle Christian Darrisaw, left guard Blake Brandel, center Garrett Bradbury, right guard Ed Ingram, and right tackle Brian O'Neill. Without Risner, the second group consisted of left tackle David Quesenberry, left guard Michael Juergens, center Dan Feeney, right guard Tyrese Robinson, and Rouse. Pat Jones has been stacking some days at outside linebacker and kicking inside on passing downs to add another rushing element to the interior of the defensive line. The 4th-year player showed up during 3 plays and one-on-one drills. He used speed around the left tackle first, which helped set up a spin move to the interior on his next rep. Jones then lined up over the ball and was able to execute a 2-hand swipe to gain an advantage. Newcomer Jonah Williams, who joined the Vikings after playing for the Rams, provided a nice run stuff during a team drill, and 7th-round pick Levi Drake Rodriguez participated in some snaps with the first team defense. So that's what's been going on as of late in the world of the Minnesota Vikings. And honestly, as a football fan, this is one of those teams that is in the exciting stages of the game where you can really expect the unexpected. Obviously, this team won't be winning the Super Bowl in 2024, but they're in one of those situations where nobody is really talking about them. There's tons of young talent and good coaching on the roster, and it sort of just feels like big things are ahead. That's really all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please make sure to drop a like and subscribe because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next. Until then, I will see you all later.